I know what's gone on previously in my previous prison sentences. I wrote a letter to my wife, and it was a detailing letter. Yeah.
You're right. It's all right. This is a letter to your wife from prison. What did you say?
To make sure they understood why I do what I do. And it's me believing that the worst will come.
That you will die in jail.
The worst will come, and I want my children to know that I haven't,
Just when you thought Tommy Robinson's legal battle couldn't get any more intense, a shocking new twist has flipped the script. What does this latest development mean for his case, and could it change everything? Let's break it down.
What way to enter 2025, but I'm entering my third month of solitary confinement within Woodhill Prison. After 42 days, they had to go to the government after 42 days of isolation. So whose decision is it? Because I know people get frustrated with the prison. It's not the prison. All decisions to do with me and nothing to do with the jail. They're coming from the government. That was I had to give a written response to my opinion on my isolation. After 42 days, it was going to the government for them to continue doing it. So I wrote my written response, which said this doesn't have to happen. When I come in here, I sat down with a psychiatrist and I said to her, what's 9 months of solitary confinement going to do to me? She said it's going to be devastating for your mental health. So I said, so why are they doing it? And 2 weeks ago, this week, I sat down. Every 2 weeks I have a meeting with the governors and the mental health team are there. Psychiatrists are there, mental health, probation, independent monitoring board. They're all there every 2 weeks because I have to have it because I'm on solitary confinement. And this week I said, I'm going to say this because I feel different. I'm telling you, I know how I feel. I feel different. I know I'm only 2 months in. So why am I still being held in solitary confinement?
Serious concerns are mounting over Tommy Robinson's treatment behind bars, with reports of extreme restrictions and mounting pressure against him. Supporters argue that his conditions are far harsher than usual, sparking urgent debates about fairness and human rights. Now, an international push is underway to expose the full reality, but will it be enough to change his fate?
Today. So it doesn't matter. The British people are always going to thrive. They're always going to win out. And the more tyranny you put against them, the more backlash you're going to feel as the government. God bless Tommy Robinson. Free Tommy Robinson today.
Tommy Robinson's supporters are sounding the alarm over his treatment at HMP Woodhill, claiming he's being subjected to unusually harsh and disproportionate conditions. Serving an 18-month sentence for contempt of court, Robinson is reportedly confined to his cell for 23.5 hours a day in near-total isolation. Unlike other inmates, he has allegedly been barred from accessing the prison canteen, preventing him from purchasing additional food. Reports indicate he is surviving on just a single tin of tuna per day, raising serious concerns about his physical and mental well-being.
At this point, I know what they're going to do, what I believe they're going to do, and that I know no one can tell me why I was brought to that prison only. Yeah. No one can tell me. So I know intentionally, and previously I've been locked in rooms with Muslims in prison, so I believe that, and then in that first week in the block,
Robinson's ability to communicate with the outside world has reportedly been severely restricted, with phone calls, emails and visitations cancelled without clear explanation. One of the more controversial developments is the alleged removal of GB News from his prison TV, a move supporters argue is a deliberate effort to further isolate him. They claim he relied on the channel to stay informed, making this decision seem like a targeted attempt to break his spirit. Critics view it as an excessive and punitive measure, raising questions about fairness in his treatment. In response, a growing campaign is pushing for international attention on Robinson's situation. A key element of this effort is an open letter submitted to the United Nations Human Rights Council, UNH, in Geneva. Personally delivered by a journalist, the letter outlines claims that Robinson's treatment violates fundamental human rights. It calls on the UNHRC to investigate conditions at HMP Woodhill, ensure his rights are upheld, and pressure the UK government to take action.
been told I'm getting moved, and I said to my wife, I'm getting moved, but nothing from the outcry outside, from Lord Pearson, who's a lord in this UK, making comments to make sure I'm safe. I knew that nothing had been done to do that.
So you're sat down writing your letter to your wife and your children, and what are you telling them?
That I know by doing what I do that that moment will come. And I know that, and I've chose that.
And you want your children to know that you didn't choose it over them.
So I detailed to my wife that it's not about them. It's not about our children. It's about every child, everyone's. I'm not apologising because not for 1 minute I'm sorry for what I've done. I'm apologising for what it's caused.
The letter raises serious concerns about prolonged solitary confinement, which the UN's own Nelson Mandela rules classify as torture if it extends beyond 15 consecutive days. Robinson has allegedly been held in isolation for over 100 days. The letter also stresses that while his views remain divisive, free expression is a fundamental right, and his imprisonment should not be used as a political tool to suppress dissent. While many doubt whether the UN or the UK government will take meaningful action, supporters insist that raising awareness is crucial. Even if the UNHRC responds with a generic statement, they argue it will highlight the organisation's stance on human rights cases in Western democracies. But for them, this fight is about more than just Robinson. It's a battle over free speech, fair treatment, and what they see as a growing trend of political suppression. By keeping the conversation alive, they hope to force transparency and accountability, ensuring Robinson and others in similar situations receive fair treatment.
Those that are spreading lies and misinformation as far and as wide as possible, they're not interested in victims. They're interested in themselves. Those who are cheerleading Tommy Robinson, not interested in justice. They're supporting a man who went to prison for nearly collapsing a grooming case, a gang grooming case. These are people who are trying to get some kind of vicarious thrill from street violence that people like Tommy Robinson promote. And those attacking Jess Phillips, who I'm proud to call a colleague and a friend, not protecting victims. Jess Phillips has done 1,000 times more than they've even dreamt about when it comes to protecting victims of sexual abuse throughout her entire career. And so just as I took on the criminal justice system and the institutions when I was chief prosecutor, I'm prepared to call out this for what it is. We've seen this playbook many times, whipping up of intimidation and threats of violence, hoping that the media will amplify it. Now, Jess Phillips.
In the coming weeks, it will become clear whether these efforts gain momentum or if the UK government continues to resist mounting public pressure.
Just come out of jail after 13 months, had been encouraging his missus to behead her parents because they were kafar, non-believers. He spent 30 months in jail. He'd been encouraging and promoting ISIS terrorism. And they knew he was still a danger and a threat. That's why he was monitored 24 hours a day. He's only out of jail 2 days before he went and tried to kill people. Why has he been let out of jail? When we start treating these men, don't put them in prison with car thieves or violent offenders or drug dealers, because they're a whole new level. They are foreign fighters, enemy combatants at war with us. No man to your pathetic de-radicalisation bullshit programmes that you put them on in prison changes their mind. They are followers of Muhammad. They are inflicting what he has told them to, backed up by scripture. This actual terrorist who just went on his killing spree, do you know what he actually said before he went to jail, when he got last sent to prison? He said that we can rape Yazidi women because it commands us to in the Quran. Now you all scratch your heads as to why 90% of grooming gang convictions are Muslim men. You know, we're not even allowed to ask the question if it's linked to scripture. Do you know how infuriating it is? And it's infuriating. Innocent people are getting stabbed and murdered.
In other news, an Iraqi asylum seeker has won the right to remain in the UK after his mother refused to provide crucial identity documents, fearing for his safety if he returned to Iraq. The Upper Immigration Tribunal overturned a previous rejection of his asylum claim, citing concerns about the risks he would face without proper identification. At the centre of the case was the man's Civil Status Identity Document, CSID, an essential requirement for re-entry into Iraq. Deputy Judge C.J. Williams ruled that his mother's refusal to provide the document stemmed from genuine fears for her son's life.
I've been a foster carer for over 20 years, and I will no longer take young asylum seekers based on the fact that their age is not what they said.
How old were you told they were, and how old did you think they were?
15, in between 15 and 16.
And what did you think they really were?
About 22, 23.
Tell me why it perturbed you and bothered you so much.
Based on the fact that I have young girls that I also look after. Based on the fact that they would constantly ask for money in quite an intimidating manner, asking me how much I got paid to look after them.
The man initially sought asylum in 2021, claiming he had been kidnapped, beaten and threatened by vehicle owners after being hired to repair their car. Despite reporting the attack to Kurdish security forces, Asayish, no action was taken, prompting his escape to the UK. His asylum claim was initially rejected on the grounds that several years had passed since the incident, suggesting the risk had diminished. However, the upper tribunal took a different stance, considering his mother's continued refusal to cooperate as evidence of ongoing danger. We accept as credible that the appellant's mother is withholding his CSID, Judge Williams stated, emphasising that her fears were well-founded given the past violence against her son. The ruling was based on Article 3 of the European Convention on Human Rights, ECH, which prohibits torture and inhumane or degrading treatment. Judge Williams determined that attempting to return to Iraq without proper documentation would expose the man to significant risks. We find the appellant would be returning to Iraq without documentation, and that he would therefore face a real risk of encountering treatment or conditions which are contrary to Article 3 of the ECHR, the judge ruled. The decision was finalised with the statement, "We remake the decision allowing the appellant's appeal on Article 3 grounds only." The judge also acknowledged that even if officials reassured the man's mother about a reduced risk, it was unlikely she would change her stance and provide the CSID. More news, the mother of Ronan Kanda has expressed shock that dangerous weapons remain easily available for purchase online, despite Labour's latest crackdown.
In your case, Mr Videja, the significant aggravating feature of planning, concealment and the location of the offence are balanced out to some extent by your good character and the other mitigating features mentioned. I consider that the minimum term should therefore be 18 years. That is the minimum term in your case. In your case, Mr Shergill, the additional mitigating feature of the lack of an intention to kill and the other mitigating features, including your good character, mean that the minimum term should be reduced by 1 year. The appropriate minimum term in your case is therefore 16 years. I deal now very briefly with the sentence for the possession of a bladed article. Having regard to the relevant guidelines, the appropriate categorisation of these offences is Category 1A, the starting point for which is 18 months with a range of 1 to 2 years detention after trial. That starting point and range is for adult offenders over the age of 18, and an adjustment must be made to take account of your...
Kanda, 16, was tragically stabbed to death in 2022 with a 20-inch ninja sword in a case of mistaken identity. His killer had ordered the weapon online. Since then, his mother, Pooja, has led the fight for Ronan's Law, which would require online retailers to flag suspicious bulk purchases that could lead to weapons being resold. Retailers failing to comply could face fines of up to PSON 0000. Speaking on the crackdown, Home Secretary Yvette Cooper emphasised the urgency of the issue, stating, "It is important that we take action to protect our children." She announced a major push to tighten restrictions on online knife sales. Recalling the horrifying attack, Kanda's mother shared, "He told his dad he would be back in 5 minutes. Then these two perpetrators came from behind, stabbed Ronan once in the side and a second time in the heart. Ronan was just walking home. He was never in any gangs, never did any drugs, he was just a good lad. He loved his family loved him, and he was taken from us through no fault of his own.
We were making future plans. Little did we knew.
We've all lost kind of the happiness. We just feel like every day we're waking up existing.
We're just all broken as a family. This has just totally destroyed us. I'm a father. I'm supposed to protect him, and I was at home, and this was happening to him. And it's just devastation.
He helped me with everything during 16 years. Gave me so much love that I'm trying to live with that love now. Yes, I'm trying to live with his love, even now.
When asked if Ronan knew his killers, she revealed that he did, but they had actually been targeting a friend who owed them PS 200. They were angry they couldn't get their money back, so they thought, let's buy this ninja sword and kill the intended target. They had tried to kill him 6 weeks before but failed. Then they came back to complete their intention, and instead of killing him they took my child's life. Both attackers have since been sentenced to prison. One for 16 years, criticising the ease of access to weapons. Kanda said, he was able to buy all these weapons. I was shocked that these things were available. They weren't just swords, they were machetes, Rambo knives. These aren't things we use to cut vegetables. They were huge, and they were all bought online. Reflecting on her son's life, she added, he was absolutely loving, caring, a beautiful son of mine. He was my dream son. I'm so gutted and broken. I lost him just like that, within a second. I didn't get to see him flourish, but honestly, he was every mother's dream son. Let me know in the comments below. If you haven't already, like this video and subscribe for more British news and updates.